Okay, we've got a little bit of silence. We've still got 9 or 10 minutes before we actually begin the broadcast. Plenty of time to get caffeinated and get vertical and let the folks gather. Hopefully Carmen can make the bot behave. The bot's name is Elvis, by the way. And maybe there's some more music in the works. But we've got a few teething issues. There's stuff we've got to, wrinkles we've got to iron out. But we're up and we're broadcasting. And good morning to everyone. Can I get a 5x5 from Storm if you can hear me, please? Just a comms test, just a basic comms test.
I had enough songs to take us up to the top of the hour, and it only played the one.
Okay, maybe you can make the bot behave. If you can't, no biggie. Oh. Thank you, John and Erica. 5x5. We are up and we are broadcasting. And it looks like we've done it just in the nick of time. I have it on good authority that oil today dropped 20% in one day. It's my opinion that the collapse has already begun, and I will, of course, address that at the appropriate time in the show. Okay, Prime Mover, can you, is that a little better? You want me to bump up my volume a bit? Hey, JTO Gaming, I don't recognize your handles. It's good to meet you, sir or madam, as the case may be. Few bits and pieces to tend to, but JTO Gaming, blah, 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 lol. This morning, it's morning for you. It's about 9 p.m. for myself.
Yeah, I'm in Central Time Zone. I got a few sleepy heads, and of course the West Coast. I wanted to say hi to Puppy Max. Hey, Meme Team Delta King. He's up in chat. I saw that earlier. And hey, Storm and everybody. I'm back in Discord. I can't see you right now on my phone, but hello, lottie dottie, everybody, guys and gals and non-binary pals. We're doing our best. We're scratching our way through. And believe me, we're jumping off the waterfall together. Great to see everybody here.
It is. This is good. This is a good way to start. And Storm, when you say, "Can you take the wrench, please?" Do you want it taken off you? Do you not want the responsibility? Yo, Puppy Max, how you doing, brother? You're from like the Netherlands, I think, if I recall. Yeah, the Netherlands. I just scrolled back a little. How's it going in Europe? It'd be about lunchtime, right? Oh, Sid. Would that be the Sid? The legendary Scotsman?
Oh, is Sid from Scotland?
He speaks with a very thick Scottish accent. I can barely understand him, and I know a little. I've known a few Scotsmen in my time, but okay, Storm doesn't want the wrench. I'll figure out how to take it off you.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll go over and help Storm if she doesn't. If she wants it, maybe we can teach her how to twirl that wrench like a baton. Sid, I'm like 40% Scottish. I've got generations that lived in Limerick, so, and I'm just learning about Scotland and all that through Q, and I'm fascinated.
Oh, Prime Mover, we've got plenty of wrenches. Thanks for the offer. I'll hit you up if I ever need to. Other than that, we are pretty much good to go. We've got like another 4 minutes before we officially start the channel. Who wants to pop the champagne? It is Sid. How you doing, brother? Bar is open. Pop, 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 pop. Champagne. Puppy Max. We've actually got Ozen on, who's staffing the YouTube channel. But yes, in principle, I'd like to give you a wrench should the need arise. Depending on how busy we get, we've got enough wrenches at the moment. There's 3 of us plus myself, and that should be enough to regulate chat. Once I get to know you a little better, Puppy Max, if you're online all day, you'd probably make a pretty good mod. I'll take that under advisement. And good to meet you too, Puppy.
Well, Puppy Max is from our old neighborhood dumpster.
Would you
The
like
old
me to give
sub.
him a wrench?
Well, I'll tell you what. After the show, why don't you get with him? He's in Discord. I can, let you know and give you his DM. So
Excellent. Hit me up anytime, Puppy Max. At the moment, I'm more than a little busy, but after the show, I will be happy to have a chat and learn a little bit about my audience.
yeah, he's the original Meme Team Delta that Backpa had enlisted back in the day. I think the spring of 2017, close to the. We worked through that till the 2018, and then we kind of soared off on our own. But it's kind of funny how we all just venture off and come back and get reconnected. Isn't that true? Because kind of like you and me, Dumpster.
And that's is a great source of strength because it's personal friendships that are going to count when the crap hits the fan. It's those friendship networks that are going to crystallize into actual vehicles for change.
Exactly. I mean, I know during this process I've had to sort and roll a lot of toxic individuals, which, hey, I've had to deal with my own personal family and friends and learned how to get through that. But you know what? I found that those that I had the fondest memories of come back into my life, which is really actually a great thing and a very encouraging and beautiful thing.
And we got Kaijo. How you doing? It's so nice of you to turn up. I remember you quite well. It's looking like a really good crowd.
Yeah, we probably got grown folks in our chat. I mean, you can always tell by their little text they're putting out. Remember, if any of you have a question, put 3 question marks before and after the question, then we can easily spot it.
Absolutely. I'll address that in just a moment. Let's wait another 2 minutes for people to shuffle in. We got the regular crowd, and I think everyone in the chat so far I recognize as a good person. I think we've drawn the right crowd.
Okay, well, let's start off with a little bit of information. Please let us know where you're from. Now, I am in Dallas, Texas.
I am just south of Sydney, which is on the southeastern seaboard of Australia.
And I'm in southern West Virginia.
Now you're in West by God, Virginia, Carmen.
Well, yeah, almost heaven.
Yeah, there's a couple of you guys that say you've missed me. I will be, and the rest of the team, everyone here, we will be doing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at this time slot. So, yeah, we've popped the champagne. I think it's time to actually start the show. And Cheyenne Rose, so nice to meet you, Cheyenne.
Oh, first, please hit the thumbs up button and waterboard your platforms by sharing. Subscribe.
Woot woot! We've got Laura Heath in the house, a Q-spert, an expert on Q. If you want to feed us a little bit of information later on in the show, Laura, that'd be fantastic. Okay, we'll wait just a little bit longer. Yes, the land of Scotland. My surname is Scottish in origin, and I've worn the tartan of my clan at a wedding, at my cousin's wedding that actually took place in Scotland. I don't remember much of it. I was actually, anyway, it was a good time I had in Scotland.
Oh, by the way, Sid, thank you for correcting me. Limerick is in Ireland. I'm learning that country as well. I'm kind of behind 57. I got like 9 bloodlines. Maybe you can educate me.
Okay, in about 30 seconds we are go. Are you ready to do the introduction, please, Carmen?
Yes. I had just been trying to fiddle with my other device to get the YouTube chat stream to come up, and it won't come up for me. But good morning, everybody. It's so nice to have you with us. And like usual, how we always did, to get things off on the right foot, I have the devotional for this morning. It comes from Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 through 16. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Now I was thinking about that, and he said we're the salt of the earth. And what salt does is season things to make them taste better, and it also preserves. It's pure salt, not seasonal. He wants nothing mixed in with our salt. If it loses saltiness, it's good for nothing and unusable. And staying salty to me means I'm conscientiously and consciously making a decision at every turn to be ready to positively affect those I come in contact with. And he said we're the light of the world. If we're shining light on matters of truth, Those looking for truth will find it. Have you ever walked a wooded lane at 2 o'clock in the morning and the moon was dark? Your eyes are constantly searching for light in the distance. We're here to shine light and add flavor to the lives of others. Father, thank you for this day and the opportunity to make a difference. Help each of us to shine our light so we can brighten the path for others to find their way out of the darkness. And don't let us lose our saltiness, but keep us effective as we engage with those around us. Open our eyes and help us always be discerning in matters that present themselves. Be with those who are suffering around the world. Bless us all with peace in our hearts, even as storms rage around us, knowing you will deliver us. We ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sister.
Amen. You, Carmen, that was beautiful. You know, storms don't always come to destroy. Sometimes they come to clear our path.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to start the show, and we will be doing that at the beginning of every show to get off on the right foot. It will remind us why we're doing this, what we're doing it for, who we're doing it for. We're here to speak for the people with no voice, and we're here to act for people who cannot act on their own. And we'll also make this statement as well. We're not a Christian organization. We're an organization with Christians. There's a very big difference. And however you choose to engage the great benevolent creator God, that's fine with me. I'll accept your friendship and your help on the basis of you being a good person, a good and honest person.
Oh, I do so agree. I also, you know, I'm kind of like I'm a respecter of persons. I like respect you right off the bat. That's up to you to keep my respect. But also, you know what I learned about the religions and everything? That's to teach us how to control ourselves and not to judge others. If I learned anything from the old ideology, that was it. It makes sense to me, though.
Mm. Oh. Yeah, we don't want to exclude anyone, and we want to be as inclusive as possible. But it is important to me and the members of this team that we practice our faith. So if you think it's hogwash, that's fair enough. But please do respect our beliefs. Okay. Shall I get into the actual meat of the broadcast, or is there anything that needs to be tabled, or anything?
Go for it, brother.
I will. I will go for it indeed. This topic, I think, is rather timely. I put this together. Ah, Chickaboom, how you doing? And Annie, get your gun. Pleased to meet you again. Hey guys, it's good to be with you all. Anyway, as I was saying, the topic of tonight's presentation is fairly timely. We've just had a verified report that the price of oil has dropped by 20% in one day. That indicates that the economic collapse has begun. And I'll touch upon that point in just a little while in my presentation. So what follows is a situation report for humanity. I'm taking the 40,000 foot view and then zooming in close to the ground for detail on a wide-ranging set of subjects. This is all about where we are. So this presentation will be done in two parts. The first half will be done this evening, and then the second half will be done on Wednesday at the same time as this broadcast. So welcome to the first of many shows, what I hope to be many, many shows. And let me say that having the freedom to present whatever I want is a really great motivator. Over the coming weeks and months, a library of topics will be built up. I've had plenty of time to think and research, and I've got a presentation that may take quite a while. I'll break it into 2 nights worth of presenting, as I said, and that will be concluded on Wednesday. So, okay, folks, I'm back and I'm rocking the mic. It's been a little while, but I am really happy to be back. You probably know that I really enjoy doing this, and I'm really glad to be back in the saddle. Most of you know me a little bit, and those that don't know will soon find out that I like to get high on information. I love it. And doing this, it gives me my regular buzz. And better yet, I get to hang out with you fine folks. I can already see from the chat room right about now that this is a quality audience. I've got names that I recognize and names of people that I call friend. So as I said, this is a quality audience. And I'll make the claim that it only takes a relatively small number of people to change the world, as long as they are the right people. And you guys are definitely the right people. I'll remind you that the Revolutionary War of America, it only involved 5% of the population, a tiny fraction of the population, but it was the right fraction of the population that saw success. And it probably shows, and I'll say it out loud, I really do care about you guys. I really do give a damn about good people in general. And I thank you all for being able to learn and teach alongside everybody else. So if you, I've got the YouTube chat screen open. If you have any questions during the course of this presentation, tag me so that my name lights up so that I can easily see it, and I will respond. I guarantee you I will respond. And there's no such thing as a stupid question, although I might have a stupid answer for that. But this platform that we're on at the moment, it's a feedback platform. I can get real-time responses from the guys listening and the people in the Discord room as well. And Roland Ashbolt, I don't believe I've met you, sir. How are you this evening? And sorry, where was I? Oh, hang on, yeah. Kijo, the beep beep is me keying up in Discord to talk to you. So just be aware of that. There's nothing I can actually you guys, and I want to hear what you've got to say. If you don't agree with something I say, make an and if you've got corrections, if I make a factually incorrect statement, I'm the first person that's going to want to know about it. I like to learn, and that means accurate information. I will make regular pauses during the course of the presentation so that you guys can actually interact with me. I'd like to make this a really interactive platform. I really would. But I'll get that sorted out within a fortnight, and it'll be slightly slicker and more flexible. And I think that a channel like the one, the format, and Wednesdays and Fridays. And yeah. So to begin the presentation, I want to discuss a concept that pops up a lot of times in this presentation, and that's the nature of power. And I will discuss power because it's a reoccurring theme in so many of the digs that we go through as diggers. So before I get into the meat of this presentation, I need to set the stage, so to speak. I need to discuss the nature of power. Everyone has power to a greater or lesser degree. This personal power that we possess is most accurately described as agency. So when I use the word agencies, agency rather, not agencies, agency, I'm talking about the ability to enforce your own personal power. So, agency is the ability to change the world around us. And many people using their agency together can have a massive effect on the world. And I'll also make the point that gathering together amplifies our agency, our power. So when our goals and our activities are synchronized, our personal agency becomes a tangible effect on the world. And this is what Q has done for us. Q has synchronized our activity, and we have organized and synchronized around Q. We are synchronizing with each other right now. That's a really important point to make. And we are also gaining information. And both of these things massively amplify our personal agency, our personal power. Knowledge is power, and unity is strength. So individually, we're insignificant. We're just a bug on a windscreen at an individual level. But a mass movement like this is a tremendously powerful thing. I'll pause for a moment. Is there any questions from Carmen, Benji, possibly Oz, or any from YouTube? I'll pause for just a moment and have a sip of coffee. And Sid, mate, I know it. I'm still getting a handle on this technology. I thought I'd just go hell for leather and put something together as quick as possible. I'll be much smoother and much more tech savvy in about a fortnight's time. But for the moment, we're up and running, we're broadcasting, and we're doing it. Now, does anyone have any questions about agency or power or even the Q movement? I'll just wait a moment for anyone to respond to that. I'll just take a sip of water, guys. Benji, do you mind telling us a little bit about what agency means to you? Are you able to vocalize a response to that? And Prime Mover, the notifications have been turned off. It's actually me pressing the press to talk. I've got it set to press to talk, and what the computer's picking up is actually the sound of me hitting the key. And Benji's making coffee. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Roland Dashbolt. If you're a newbie, just kick back, relax, and learn a little bit. Anyway, so Q is giving us knowledge and it's synchronizing our activities. And this is the army that Q has built. We are awake, we are aware, and we are united in purpose. And I will also add that most of us are pretty bloody furious as well. Q has brought us together and has given us greater agency, and it's helped unite the Anons. As a community, we are relatively unified. And I will also, at this point, make the claim or the comment that you didn't actually choose Q. You might think you chose to follow Q, but that's missing the subtleties of the situation. Q actually chose you. Q team, 10, 14 people, however many Q team is, Q team knew there was a demographic. I don't know a better word than demographic for what I'm talking about, but Q knew there was a demographic of people like us. Q simply utilized us as a resource. Us gathered here, for the most part, we're intelligent, we're connected, and we are sick and tired of the status quo. And the Q movement is pretty interesting because it's not what we want that unites us. It's what we don't want. We don't want control over our lives. We don't want totalitarian government. We don't want oppression. We just want to be able to live in a decent planet. And we also want the ability to make a decent planet. So, so Q team knew that we were out there in our millions, and before the Q movement, we were not an organized collective agency at all. And all Q team did was give us a set of goals and teach it, and began to teach us using the Socratic method of learning by doing. And again, I'll make the point that knowledge plus synchronization equals amplification of agencies. So these ideas that I've just discussed set up the greater context for the following presentation. I'll make the point right now that this, what follows this presentation, or the first half of it actually this evening, is my own synthesis of the knowledge that I have gained during my Q journey. Basically, this document is its own source. It'll be archived, and you may refer to it again by accessing it through the Dumpster Truffles YouTube channels. So if something piques your interest, my advice is tag me with it, and tag me with it. I'll address you directly, and we'll have a quick discussion. We can do that. We've got plenty of time. But as I was saying, if something piques your interest, my advice is to go digging for yourself. There is no substitute for your own research. And the device that you have sitting in front of you is, in Latin, it's the omnicopeia, the sum of all knowledge. It's basically all of human knowledge sitting right on your desk. So it's enormously powerful. And you are able to do your own research. So I'll give you a little bit of background about my Q journey. I've been crunching information as fast as I can for about 3 years now. And what follows this presentation, it's entirely my own work. I hope and expect you disagree with some of my analysis. As I said, I've got YouTube and Discord open. If you tag me, and I will respond, as long as you are polite and constructive. And if I'm wrong about something, as I said, I expect you all to correct me. In fact, I would actually appreciate the correction. None of us are godlike. None of us have all the answers or all the information. That's why we gather together in groups. It's about amplification of agency. So what follows is essentially a situation report for the human species. And Prime Mover says correct. We all have agency in life. Whether we choose to use it is our personal choice. That's exactly true. We all have agency, but the structures around us actually suppress our personal agency. So all we have to do is recognize these structures and understand that we can actually change the world. Most of the planet at the moment is still sheeple. They're still asleep. And they don't understand that what they are living in is basically a paper cage. All they have to do is come to some sort of level of consciousness, tear up the cage, and step out of it. That's a really good point, Prime Mover. Agency is a personal choice. All you have to do is reach out, tear up the cage, step out of it, and your agency will be fully realized. Anyway, where was I? And the rest of you guys, if you've got questions or comments, tag me and I'll hit you back directly. Anyway, so as long as you keep it polite and constructive, I'll hit you back. And as I said, what follows is essentially a situation report for the human species. Basically, I couldn't choose one topic, so I have decided to cover pretty much every topic. When you are listening, you might find the content to be grim and a bit doom and gloom, but the first step in solving a problem is to identify it. What I'm bringing you is good news. So how do I explain this? Imagine if you're standing on a road and there's a car coming for you. And Sid, mate, I'll just make a comment now, brother. I cannot actually answer DMs at the moment. Complicated technical answer. I'll discuss it with you at length sometime, some other time, mate. Anyway, I was saying that if you're about to be run over, turning your back on the car does not actually prevent you from being run over. If you face the car, see it coming, you can get out of the way. That's the power of information. It's to avoid situations that we find ourselves in everyday life. I hope I explained that adequately. As I said, it might be a bit grim and doom and gloom, and it might seem nihilistic and pessimistic, but it's not. It's good news. The first step in solving a problem is to identify it. So, yeah. Anyway, there's an old Chinese proverb that goes something like this, and this might be a slight misquote. It is a blessing to be born into interesting times. And I think we are very, very blessed right about now. History is always happening, but right about now there is a lot of history happening all at once, a massive amount of change. And I'm looking at this from the species level. I'm looking at this from... hang on. Chickaboom, if you just wait a little while, I will address the coronavirus directly. And I've got to get Carmen a wrench as well. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm taking a look at this from the species level. Stepping outside and trying to get an external view on the comings and goings of our planet. And as a species, and remember species, that's everyone on the earth, we are facing a series of hurdles. And if we fail any single one of these hurdles, the consequences for humanity are unthinkable. Simply put, as a race, we are too damn clever for our own good. And I will return to that idea later. Now, what are the hurdles that face us as a species? And I've got a list of 11 or 12 of them. And I'll be addressing roughly half of them this evening, and the second half later on in the week, Wednesday night. So, situation one is COVID-19. Obviously, I cannot go into any real depth this evening, but I will give you guys a brief summation of the current situation. And you will probably disagree with what I have to say, that this is a good thing because it means you are thinking. If you guys disagree with me, I want to hear it. I really do. And if you've got contributions, questions, comments, anything, tag me. I will respond. This is setting a precedent for a new channel. I want as much engagement as possible from the audience. I'll pause for a moment and take a sip of water. Carmen or Benji, do you have any comment while I'm waiting for the lag in YouTube?
I was just over in YouTube talking to my people.
Yeah, I was over on Facebook and Twitter. You know how I do, Dumpster. You got this.
You know it, girls. Yep. I'll continue then. So, if you disagree with what I have to say, that's a good thing. It means you are actually using that 6 or 7 pounds of grey matter inside your skull. It's a brain. Use it. It's the most powerful thing you'll ever own in your entire life. And I'd like to set precedent on this channel for feedback and interaction with YouTube. Don't be afraid to tag me with questions or comments. Just don't. This is not like other YouTube channels. I will keep pace with the population of YouTube as the channel progresses. I will get to know you all personally. This is not CNN. I'm not standing at a pulpit throwing lightning bolts into the crowd or anything like that. I'm just in an anon, and I'm learning and teaching at the same time, and it's awesome. And anyway, so the first topic that I will address is COVID-19. The second topic I will address is the global economic meltdown. And I think this document was prepared just in the nick of time to watch the whole thing go down the toilet. Because, as I said, I have it on good authority that oil dropped 20% in one day. This means the collapse has begun. And yes, we have to ride the whirlwind. Grab that horse by the throat and hang on at the moment. So topic 2 is the global economic meltdown. And we are at the end of what is called the Federal Reserve System. This is known as fractional reserve monetary systems. And with a Federal Reserve System, debt is built into the system. There is no way to escape debt. And I'll also make the point that at the moment, the global financial markets are a zombie system. The system is dead. It's already dead. It just doesn't know it yet. And we're looking at the first stagger of the financial system. And the world is about to change. Let me put that clearly. And I think I've prepared this document spot on time. I think I've prepared it just in the nick of time, actually. So the financial markets are a zombie system. The global currency system is dead. It's just twitching and going through its death throes now. A massive financial meltdown is absolutely unavoidable. During my discussion of the global economic meltdown, we'll also touch upon the idea of Nisara and Gisara. And if you don't know what they are, if you don't know what Nisara and Gisara mean, I'll tell you later, but you should listen closely because that's a pretty interesting circumstance that may pop up in all of our futures in some shape or form in the future. So that's the second topic, which is the global economic meltdown. The third thing that I will address is global ecosystem collapse. The planet that we inhabit is dying rapidly. We are watching the planet die in real time. We are going through an extinction level event. And Sid Q says the petrodollar is done. Exactly. I'll get into a little more detail later, mate. Anyway, back to global ecosystem collapse. We've all but killed our planet, and it has nothing to do with carbon dioxide emissions. In essence, the most basic way I can put it is basically we put a bunch of elitist psychos in charge of our planet, and they've just run it into the ground. It's not carbon emissions, it's not overpopulation, it's none of those things. It's tearing up the forest to make disposable chopsticks. Crap like that. So I will discuss global ecosystem collapse. The fourth topic I will address is alien contact. And a brief description of this is we need, as a species, we need a species-wide response to the fact that we are not alone in the universe. This will include a discussion about soft and hard disclosure. If you don't know what alien disclosure means, you should listen close. And if you do, we will try and winkle out a few nuggets of information. So we've got a discussion of soft and hard disclosure and also existing human contact with aliens. This will also include a quick discussion about alien X-type technology. When I say X-type technology, I mean stuff that would blow your mind. I'm talking not even about flying saucers and stuff like that. People can wrap their head around the idea of flying saucers and alien visitations and so forth. But the really, really weird technology that has probably almost certainly come from aliens is called X-type technology, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So that's the fourth topic, alien contact. The fifth topic I'll talk about is artificial intelligence, and this topic simply cannot be ignored. I'm going to make a pretty huge claim here, and I would say that there is no it's not an overstatement to say that artificial intelligence is the most important technology system since the discovery of fire. It's that powerful. It's going to have that much of an impact on the species. Artificial intelligence. So I'll discuss those ideas as well. The sixth topic is automated systems. And when I say automated systems, I'm talking about robots. Chickaboom says out in YouTube, the next 2 to 3 weeks you will not recognize the US. You're thinking too small, Chica. We will not recognize the world in about a month's time. It's a house of cards, and there's a pretty big storm coming. Anyway, back to automated systems. I'm talking about robots. Our civilization is literally on the cusp of a complete technical revolution. Whether you like it or not, the bots are here. The seventh thing I will address is networked computing. And I will gloss over the basics of the internet because everybody should be pretty familiar with that. But the internet has had a massive effect on how humans operate. And the worrying thing is that this technology is still a young technology. It really is. I mean, if you sit back and look at what we're using, it's basically typewriters connected by telephone lines. If you went back 20 years and we had control over the internet as a society, I wonder what form the internet would have taken today. And to extend that thought, if we don't take control of the technology now, what will the technology be like in 20 years' time? AI versus man versus machine. I cover that in detail. It's a very interesting subject. Anyway, networked computing, topic 7. So the internet has had a massive effect on how humans operate. And the worrying thing is that this technology is still a nascent, undeveloped technology. If we fail to control the application of this technology, we will be enslaved. I will also include a brief discussion about 5G. Will also be included in the networked computing. The 8th topic is reclamation of history. And when I'm talking about reclamation of history, it's getting to the truth of history. History is horseflop. It is. It's utter BS, and we all know it. We can't know where we are. We can't know where we're going without knowing where we have been. And so regaining our true history would give us the context for what is unfolding on the planet now. And the 9th topic is megadeth weaponry. And this is the one that might rattle you a little bit, or a little bit more than some of the other topics. But anyway, getting back to topic 9, megadeth weaponry. When I talk about megadeth, that's a measurement of death of humans by the millions. So us clever little monkeys, we are really, really good at killing people with science. That puts it really simply. I will discuss nano weaponry, nanotechnology as a weapons platform. We haven't seen much of that yet, but it's developing. I'll also discuss the nuclear threat, which has been with us for quite some time. And I will also be covering biological weaponry. So these kinds of weaponry are a potential full stop for humanity. Any one of these three technologies, nanotechnology, nuclear weaponry, and bioweaponry, is potentially capable of a full stop for humanity as we know it. So, the 10th topic will be transhumanism. And technology, the technology that I've just discussed. And Prophet Benjamin says, oh my God, I've seen artificial worms, droid stuff. That's absolutely true. And that prompts a memory that I had quite some time ago. And it was a scientific paper detailing the steps necessary for creating a synthetic bovine worm. So a cow uterus, a cattle uterus, but fully synthetic. And this cattle uterus, they were intending to incubate and breed cloned humans, 9 or 10 at a time, in a synthetic bovine uterus. So the technology of transhumanism is just unbelievable. This kind of technology, as I said, will force us to renegotiate what it means to be human. And it's a slippery slope. It's a matter of degrees. Transhumanism is a matter of degrees. And I'll make the point that damnation doesn't come in a blinding flash. It creeps up on you 1 inch at a time. And that's what transhumanism is. Transhumanism begins with information technology. Having a smartphone is the beginning of transhumanism. And the end point of transhumanism is basically not human at all. And then there is a massive grey area in between the two spectrums. Like I said, damnation isn't something that happens overnight. Damnation is a matter of degrees. You lose your soul an inch at a time. You don't just sell it out. The 11th and final topic that I will address is ascension. Now, ascension is a difficult subject to it's a difficult subject to get a handle on. Every person I talk to has their own opinion. Every source of information I find online tells me something different. But I will say this of ascension. The events that we are living through right now are transformative. Humanity will be radically different when and if we manage to overcome the hurdles we face. So when or if we manage to overcome the hurdles we face, the fact that the notion of human will change. Humanity will be different. I don't know how, but I know that there is change coming. I will also say that all these things that I have discussed, they're just props on the stage, and the background, the actual stage itself is war on the cabal. I won't discuss the cabal in any detail this evening. I'll save that for another time. But all the stuff that I've just discussed, all those 11 points that I've just discussed with you guys, it's just scenery. And the main show is war on the cabal. So as I said, every situation previously mentioned is just the backdrop for what is a quiet war against the cabal. And this quiet war is beginning to broach itself in mainstream society. The Q movement has penetrated enough people that people understand the term cabal in the wider community, and we should celebrate that as a victory. That means people are actually waking up. So This quiet war, whatever you want to call it, this Q movement against the cabal, is we are being effective. We are combat effective units. And by gathering together, we are actually amplifying our agency. And that's a really, really important point. The final thing I'll say about the backdrop of the cabal being taken down, the cabal has never, ever, and remember the cabal is thousands of years old, okay? We're facing an ancient enemy. The cabal has never, ever faced an existential threat. That means its existence has never been under threat at any point in history, as I understand history. The history might be a lie. There might have been other movements against the cabal in history, but they get whitewashed into his story, not history. So the cabal is facing an existential threat. What that indicates is that we, as a group, are powerful. So, as I said, this is a situation report for humanity. We have to ask ourselves, we have to step back from the situation and think about, what are we? You know, where are we? Where do we want to go? We have to figure out a species-wide strategy for navigating the future. As I said before, those 11 talking points, they are all hurdles. And if we fall at any one of those hurdles, we may fail as a species. And I won't draw too much of a long bow here to say that if we fail in our endeavor, we fail forever. And I mean that. We will be looking at a nightmare prison planet future. But don't worry, we are going to win. There is simply no other option. And I'll also say this, that this information that I'm presenting to you, it might sound like fear porn or over-dramatization or negativity or pessimism. It's not. It's not at all. This information is positive. At the very very, very least, we can actually recognize the threats that we face. And I'll go back to the car analogy again. Turning your back on a car will not stop you getting run over. My personal opinion or attitude, whatever you want to call it, is that we will face tribulations. But we as people, we will face tribulation, but humanity is fully capable of navigating these obstacles. And I actually think that humanity really does have a blindingly bright future. And I'll also just make a quick note here that the prize of the future is space. We're on the cusp of becoming a spacefaring civilization. Space is the prize. And how we go into space will be determined by the power structures on this planet. That's pretty obvious. And that's the end of the introduction of the articles that I will cover. I'm only doing the first half dozen this evening, and Ozanon makes a great point. If it's a pandemic, then Soros gets to keep muchos dollars, much money. It might surprise you to know that governments around the world have actually taken out insurance against a pandemic. Literally. If a pandemic is declared a worldwide contagion like COVID-19, if a worldwide pandemic is caused or is declared by the World Health Organization, governments around the world will be able to cash in their insurance policy on our lives. I'll explain that again. Governments, without our knowledge up until now, have basically bet or taken out insurance on the supposition that some sort of pandemic will be declared. and that we will face a health emergency across the planet. And this insurance, as soon as a pandemic is declared, as I understand the situation, when the WHO declares a pandemic, these countries will be able to cash in their insurance policies against our lives. So the situation is absolutely surreal. We've got a situation whereby the cabal wins by releasing the virus, then it wins again by cashing in on insurance policies on our lives, and then it wins when it enforces power structures through these mechanisms. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. The elite, with their insurance policies, they're literally playing poker with our lives. And yeah, anyway, that's the end of concluding remarks. I'd like to take a sip of water. And Carmen Morrison says, dumpster, how much do they get for each person who dies from it? I'm not aware of the actual figure. I don't believe it's each person who actually dies. I believe the insurance policy becomes active when the World Health Organization declares a pandemic. So the cabal can declare a pandemic, they benefit from the disease itself, and then they make money off the disease. Our foe is crafty. And Rochelle Paputzis, good morning, Rochelle. I haven't said hello to you yet. And yeah, she's talking about central bank bonds. They're going to be worth nothing in about 48 hours, I think, Rochelle. And I'll also say hello to Punky Custer. And yeah, morning, Punky. How you doing? Kaijo makes the point that there have been 11 deaths in America from COVID-19 compared to 20,000 from flu. That's very true. It's either a deliberately released smokescreen, or it's an accidental release being used as a smokescreen, or a combination of both. We will never know the full story behind it. All we can do is do an autopsy once the situation is over. But I'll get to COVID-19 in just a moment. Anyway, where was I? Can anyone remember what I was talking about?
No, dumpster. I think you were in the summation part of your meat and potatoes, and you were going to go for the links.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Benji. Do we have any comments from Oz, Carmen, Private Benji? Is there anyone in YouTube that's got a comment? Just tag me, make sure my name is lit up, and I will respond. I'd love to set a precedent with the first show of having maximum audience participation. This is not supposed to be background noise while you chat to your friends. This should be engaging. This should be a personal experience for you. That's what I'm hoping for. So come on, guys, throw questions at me, make comments, get active. This is a feedback platform, and we should make the most of our opportunities. And I need a sip of water.
Yeah, I think the COPD is just a big hype. It's a mock drill for quarantine, so they can impose their red flag laws. Or I'm of another thought about indictments, but we'll not get to that. Believe me, it's going to go in a stack of research of all the scientific research that we learned they made loopholes and used it against us. So we'll just move on to the next little bug they create. Hopefully we can stomp that out, because the CDC's already got lawsuits, and we know the gates of hell, Mr. Bill, he's in trouble too. But
yeah,
that's another show. But I got the sauce.
Yeah. And we have Ouchie out in chat. I'm so pleased to make your acquaintance, Ouchie. I don't believe I've met you before. Thank you for the congratulations on getting the stream up and running. Stick around, and yeah, stick around in chat, get to know the people, and pick up the vibe. And if you've got any questions, Ouchie Bug, throw them at me, and I'll do my level best to address the issue. I forgot to mention earlier, this research presentation has been put together from my own sources and my own research over the years. And Prime Mover has a question for me, and that is, do you have any information on possible COVID virus being delivered by aerial spraying? No, I don't have any information that indicates that it's being aerosolized and sprayed using chemtrails or something similar, is what you're talking about. The point is, they don't actually have to use chemtrail. They don't have to use. They don't have to crop dust us with COVID-19. All they have to do is release a few dozen virion particles, that is, individual viruses, and our sneezes and our speech and our coughing and the way we touch our face, that will spread the disease quite effectively on its own. They may have used aerial spraying, but I have no information about that situation. And Puppy Max has a question. Let me just read this. Q Team already knows who did MH17 and Soros, and our Dutch PM, Mark Rutte, also known as Rotten Mark, are going down. You said it, Puppy Max. We are watching global change, global transformation. And as I said earlier, I have it on good authority that the price of oil dropped 20% in one day. That in itself indicates that the collapse has been done. The collapse is over. It just has to go through its death cycle. Anyway, thank you for the questions, Ouchibug, Prime Mover, and Puppy Max. If you have further questions or you want me to expand on something or commentary, hit me back.
Yeah, Puppy Max, I got that link you gave me about. Yeah, he's the eye over there. He kind of keeps an eye on scrotum face Soros for me. He's a good anon over there. Have information and research.
If Puppy Max is down with you, Benji, Puppy Max is down with me. Anyone that's in your good books is A-OK with me. Go ahead and issue that invitation at any point. I will actually reserve admin status for just the 4 people in our team, and but we always have need for connected, intelligent, positive people. And you seem pretty cool at the moment, Puppy Max. And that's a really good point. The political systems across the globe are going to change radically. Anyway, as I said, once we navigate these obstacles, humanity has a wonderfully bright future ahead of it. We all do. And that's the end of introductory remarks. And I will talk about COVID-19 a little bit now. I could talk all day about this. This is my actual area of my actual background. I know this subject really quite well. But I'll give you a quick overview. That's what I'm doing at the moment, is just giving you an overview of all the situations that face us at the moment. Sorry, did you key up there, Benji? Did you have something to say?
Yeah, give them just a brief synapse of your background, kind of like letting them know you know your stuff.
You want me to tell them about myself?
Yeah, give them about like a 5-minute little sequelae and let them know a little bit about you. You know, sure. I think most of them, most of them know I'm a nurse, 30 plus years, and the things I probably have in my archives. And Carmen and her little good news, and Oz is she is our head backchans digger. She is the bomb. That's my friend. These are my family.
Okay, where do I begin? Probably the beginning. How's that? I was fortunate enough to grow up in an academic household. I had access to an absolutely magnificent library. I read voraciously as a youngster. I would say I was pretty much awake and aware by the age of 16. But, but, I let my faith go, which I regret, for a good many years. And growing up, I was aware of the BS, aware of the absolute nonsense that I had to go through as a child. And looking at the social structures around me and the way people behaved and what they valued and how they treated each other. And I was also tangentially aware of the darker side of the way the world is run. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, I pursued art as a hobby. My degree, my university degree, is in fine arts. I have many hobbies that are related to fine arts. I've produced 40 plus zines. A zine is basically a micro magazine, shortened to zine. And I've made comic books called zines, as I just said. And that's a hobby that I still engage in today. I was pretty wild growing up. And when I saw Trump come into power, I saw a glimmer of hope. You know, the door creaked open just a little bit, and I thought, my God, Hillary didn't win. So, we got the mighty Silo. Pleased to have you here, brother. Really. No, really. I'll say a bit of a hello later, mate, but I'm a bit busy at the moment. Anyway, Puppy Max has a comment. COVID-19 is just a new strain of the COVID family. Since they know the previous 18 strains, I'm pretty sure they already have a vaccine ready. To speak with Q's voice, timing is everything. That's very true. And I may actually address that a little bit tangentially. And as I said, even if the COVID-19 is not related to the plan at all, there are many actors on the global stage that may use COVID-19 as a smokescreen. I don't know if I've said this evening, but of COVID-19, I guarantee you, by the time this pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, has run its course, Hong Kong and Taiwan will be once again firmly under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. That much is guaranteed. So that may have been the initial reason for the release, but that's just speculation. Or they could be just using the virus as an excuse to crack down on the population and enforce an even more totalitarian government, and also to reincorporate Taiwan and China. No, sorry, not China. Hong Kong into China. Sorry, I got a bit tangled up in my thoughts there. Anyway, thank you for the comment. So anyway, back to COVID-19. No, back to my life story. That's where I was, I think. Just a moment, I need a sip of water. Anyway, POTUS shows up, and there's a glimmer of hope. Just a little glimmer of hope. Before that election, if it was Hillary Clinton, POTUS, or a sack of potatoes, I would have chosen the sack of potatoes. I really would have. I didn't trust any politician. I knew the whole system was crooked. I knew that the Democrats and the Republicans in America and the Liberal and Labor Liberal and Labor in Australia, they're both wings of the same turkey. If I can be a little bit crude, I will say that when it comes to political parties, would you rather be buggered by a red condom or a blue condom? Do you want to be raped by a red condom or a blue condom? It makes no difference. And that was my firm belief. But anyway, Trump shows up, and I think, oh my God, Trump is in office. At the very least, this is going to be really interesting. And it has been interesting. And I discovered Q from a friend, and ever since then, I've been riding the roller coaster on a Q journey. I've been through many phases, many types of experiences. At one point, I actually disavowed Q on the basis of very good research coupled with very bad analysis. So, I mean, we've all had our moments of doubt, but I'm actually happy to say that I'm in a position now where I have full trust in POTUS. I don't actually trust Q 100% because I don't know who Q is. I can't put a face to the I can't put a name to the face. And oh, Puppy Max is in Discord. Welcome aboard, brother. Anyway, I don't trust Q 100%. I'm sorry, I cannot say that. I cannot put a face to it, but I am willing to back POTUS 100%, and I will back Q 100% as well. Although he, as I said, he doesn't have my full trust. That's my personal Q position. Anyway, and to cut a long story short, I've put in thousands of hours behind the mic over the last 2.5 years. I've done an enormous amount of research, and it's that research that I've actually kept track of, that I've compiled this presentation. And Benji says we are Q. That's exactly true. Trust the plan. Yes. We have to have a little bit of, we have to suspend our cynicism for a little while and put faith in something we don't know the true nature of. And absolutely. We are Q. Thank you, Puppy Max. And that brings me right up to exactly now at 10 past 10 p.m., sitting at a computer talking to wonderful people like you guys on a very dynamic platform, I might add. We've just had a new member to the server, Puppy Max. So our little family, our little band of rebels is growing, and I'm sure these people will contribute to the show in the coming weeks and months and so forth. It'll be nice to have a nice responsive platform that we can actually cover the news from. We can respond much faster than mainstream media. MSM is dying. Citizen journalism like this will take its place. And that's about it. Do you want to pick over the chicken carcass anymore, Private Benji? Is there any question you have about my background?
Oh. Brother, no, that's good. That was a great little testimony. Helps people get to know you better, that's all. But I'm so glad to see so many recognizable names in YouTube chat. I wanted to thank YouTube chat again for all the support and the great discourse over in YouTube chat.
Absolutely. You guys are awesome. I've just spilled my guts. Do you want to give a quick overview of your Q journey, Private Benji?
Okay, well, before Q, I was following Anonymous, and I met some great Anons that helped me get through an ordeal I had personally with MS-13, which I am a survivor. And with all that I knew, I grew up, I had a stepdad. This JAG officer had a big law firm in Dallas, and there was a judge associated. So, I had to work in the archives, the law library. So I was familiar with that, and then I became a nurse, not because I chose a career for money. I did it because it was a calling. And then over the 30 years, I watched the last 12 to 15 years of my career go a total jabberwock way. I mean, doctors, nurses were all of a sudden flipping and scripping. I had more immigration coming through and I was the director of nurses of a facility for a while. And when I saw my staff of Americans leave, and these people, so-called green cards, and what I knew here in Texas and having a transplant George Bush, I've always been suspect. Yeah, I'm kind of like you, Dumpster. I was a little rebel, and I haven't grown up yet, and I'm 63 years old. And yeah, no, I'm just a little bit sassy and smart-assy, that's all. Um, then when I met Q, was through an anon that turned me on to some channels, and I got to watch Joe M. Things I never followed anybody, and I'm very selective who I follow on YouTube anyway, but started adding what the archives I had and then adding the new crumbs that they were dropping as they're trying to make breads and buttery biscuits. It all started to cohese a little bit and it's connecting for me. And to be my age and to see all this from John F. Kennedy's assassination that gave Dallas a bad name and to get some type of redemption just for that alone. I don't care if I ever get all the stuff with that they stole my reputation, how they blackballed me, all that. I don't care if I ever get that back. I just want the righteous to triumph. I just want it flipped back up. Where up is up and down is down. I want it straightened out. And I think QAnon is the movement. I firmly believe in the anons, the autists, even the new cubies that come aboard. They're so excited to learn. By the way, they accuse me of being a red pill dealer. Puppy Max is the meme team Delta King, and he does these red pills to just toss out there on your platforms. It doesn't even have to be a political post, but it gets people researching. And we've kind of grown our families. I'm kind of like the front line on Facebook back in the day. So until, I guess it took us a year to get Praying Medic and War Drummer and a few of the others that came through, but we were willing enough to stick our neck out on the line. Digital Soldier team over on Twitter is awesome. If anybody in YouTube chat has those skills, please tag me. Austin, I can use you. I can use you on Facebook, and Austin can use you on Twitter. We like to build this Q Army up. I mean, everyone in here has their own gifts and talents. And I hope I'll be able to shed light with my research and archives with the vaccination study, with current lawsuits against Big Pharma, stuff like that. I also, when I started nursing, I was a psych nurse. So I worked with a lot of variations of personalities that basically were designed by Big Pharma. And I'm not to discount anybody's diagnosis. I just have been through hell myself, and I just rebuke those diagnoses because if I name it, I claim it, and I don't want to live my life that way. But I've seen what it's done with mind control, with how they've programmed people to be depressed and bipolar, and that's my big soapbox right there. That, I'll say, Big Pharma, MSM, because if we can change the narrative, we can change the world. Pro-life, all life matters. And I'm just so anti-division. I thoroughly enjoy being associated with this group of QAnons and autists. It charges my energy. My spirit soars every day when I give thanks to God, just knowing you guys are here. Because I've been down and they brought me up. Just like if I make somebody smile today, then my mission of waking up was worth it. I'm sorry, I ramble on a lot, but that's what I do.
No, that's perfectly appropriate for a first show. The crowd will get to know us. We will get to know the crowd. And might I say, Benji, it's an honor to share a foxhole with you. For those of you who don't know, Benji's our fixer. She's our coordinator. She's our publicist. And she's just a dynamo. So kudos, Benji. Thank you for helping me get this platform up and running and building the army. And Rochelle, it's really nice to meet a fellow artist. But, can you guys please make sure that you actually tag me with my full name so it lights up all orange on my YouTube screen? That way I won't miss anything. So let's set a standard. Just dumpster alone is not good enough because I'm doing a couple of things at once. But if you tag my name, I will respond. And we've got a comment from Chickaboom. Morning, Chick. Dumpster, have you read the evidence about the real first Q died Wolfgang Riel? And then we do not mention his name. From PSB, took over as Q. A lot of evidence, but there, so I'm hesitant on Q. Chica, I understand entirely what you mean. As I said earlier, I had my very, very serious doubts about Q. But, bit by bit, how do I put this? I mean, in the most blunt term, the only horse in this race that we can back is Q. There is, at the moment, we have no other option. So it's full steam ahead, shoulder to the wheel, support Q, support POTUS. There's only one way through this situation that we're in. And that situation is what I'm discussing this evening. And we've also got Carmen Morrison. Carmen, honey, do you feel comfortable talking to the crowd about yourself for a little?
Well, there's really not a lot to say. I was just a mom and housewife for most of my life, and I didn't even have internet or anything until about 4 years ago. So I'm kind of late to the game, but I always knew something wasn't right, but I couldn't put my finger on it because everything I would hear said just the opposite of what I felt inside. So when I finally got internet and could get YouTube, I found you guys at Patriot Soapbox, and I've been with you ever since, followed you around. And I'm glad to be here. I love all you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Carmen's a very special person. She's like me and Private Benjamin. She actually gives a damn about people. And me and Carmen actually started out together on I do not say their name platform way back when. And we've become fast friends. And Carmen is so handy. She comes in so useful. She holds the channel together realistically.
She's our
Only when the bot works.
Yeah, she's our big sister. She keeps us in line because, well, she has to. She just really has to keep us in line. And she knows it, and she's doing a fabulous job at it.
And
well, I did raise my kids, so I know how to handle controversy.
I know, honey. You have life lessons you're bringing to the game, and guess what? You're raised like me, so you got that spiritual gangster kind of revolutionary life lesson to bring to the game too. So don't think our jobs are too small.
I'm just happy to have a job.
Yeah, me too, and they don't even pay me for it. That's okay by me. I'm getting paid in riches and glory from another kingdom called, oh, the heavens. But anyway, I wanted to let everybody know that all these little sex trafficking busts, the little low man on the street, count those as pennies from heaven as to your communities getting cleaned out. A lot of people are out there complaining nothing's getting done. I'm sorry, but what the influx MS-13 had, say, over the last 7 years in Dallas-Fort Worth, and people I know and love died and stuff, you've got to look in your community and see if you see change. If not, make change. Get out there. I don't care. Volunteer. This is the best volunteer job I have, and I'm trying to juggle it with the 2 days a month I get to go and do my thing with my little group. So it's so much fun.
And on that note, that Benji just touched on, the money situation. This channel will never ask you for a single cent. It's not about the money. We are not patriots, P-A-Y, patriots. We do this for the love. We do this because we've got skin in the game. We do this because we care.
And we got plenty stock on coffee and donuts, so
Yeah.
we will never ask for a cup of coffee even. We won't shake our little tin can, we promise. Hopefully we'll get Q-tubes soon.
And the fourth member of our team is Ozanon, who I don't think is comfortable miking up. So you might learn about her a little bit later. But she's a fellow Australian. She's a hell of a woman, and I am so happy to be working alongside her.
You know, I thought Osanon was a ghost there for a while because I had the same personality on Facebook, and I thought, oh, she's playing a trick on me. But then after I got to know Osanon and found out she's from Australia, I thought, nah, I better take this one serious. She's awesome.
Okay, there is a whole bunch of questions out there, probably more than I can address. But Silo, old mate Silo, says, Dumpster Truffles, if not for Q, what do you think we would be talking about at this time in history? I wouldn't be talking about anything. I'd be going quietly insane on my own, probably smoking bongs and playing video games. I really like the way that Q has given me a purpose. I don't know what I'd be talking about at the moment, but it wouldn't be as constructive as what we're doing here. And Prime Mover.
Yeah, I don't even think we would be here. Probably half of us would have been to the FEMA camps that they now have imposed somewhere else.
Yeah, and
but
if you have
I don't think we would be here discussing anything. But anyway, that's looking back. Let's just kind of work forward. Don't live in the what ifs. Kind of like the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Regret, doubt seeding.
And there was a comment from Prime Mover about the COVID virus. So I'm just about to discuss that. And thank you, Sid. It's been an auspicious start. That much is certain. Yeah. So that's the crew. Oz is backed out. That's understandable. She can keep order. She's got the troll hammer. Fear the Ozanon. Fear her. Fear her. She's got the troll hammer. I think she's going to set a pretty high bar. I want this chat room to be warm and welcoming. And, yep, and you do that by clobbering trolls and troublemakers. So Ozanon is in charge of YouTube for the moment. Anyway, do you guys want to hear about COVID-19? She's got the troll hammer. I think she's going to set a pretty high bar. Whoa, Puppy Max, you have to turn off YouTube, brother. And you do that by clobbering trolls and troublemakers. So, Ozanon is hot mic, Puppy Max. You're going to have to turn off YouTube or not speak. Anyway, do you guys want to hear about COVID-19? You do know you've got an open, right, Puppy Max? Okay, Puppy Max attempted to make communication. You may hear a little more from Puppy Max this evening. And he's enthusiastic and motivated. I like you already, Puppy Max. We'll meet together. There'll be a team meeting at the end of the show. Anyway, we've got Riri. Good morning, Dumpster Truffles. Glad you're back. I always listen to you on Patriot News. Thank you, Riri, and nice to meet you. I'm glad to be back, actually. And as regards the Patriot News situation, 95% of Patriot News are good folk. You'll find it a convenient place to park your avatar for background noise, and they can't sometimes come up with absolutely killer information. So let's not put any crap on PN. It's still a viable platform, unlike other platforms that I will not mention their name. Anyway, um, yeah. Puppy Max, don't worry about it, mate. This is live radio. People expect this kind of thing, and we've still got teething problems, so don't even worry about it, mate. We'll have a team meeting and we'll get these things ironed out. And yeah, you might hear a little bit from Puppy Max later. Anyway, COVID-19. And the first thing is don't panic. It almost certainly will not kill you. Your actual chance of dying from COVID-19 is infinitesimal, tiny, it's negligible. But it will kill 65 million people. And if you balance 65 million people against the world population, that's just a fart in a teacup. COVID-19 at the moment is a very, very tame bioweapon, and it is a bioweapon. But I'll tell you that this figure of 65 million people is fairly solid, and it actually comes from the Johns Hopkins School of Medical Research. And as far as I can tell, that's the best source on morbidity for COVID-19 that I've come across. 65 million people globally is the megadeath. 65, a rating of 65 megadeath. So, excuse me. Let's look at the big picture. 65 million is barely a dent on the planet's population. And COVID-19 will fall hardest on the poorer nations. It's not an even playing field across the planet. Places like New Delhi, Bombay, or Mumbai as they call it, South America, obviously China. These places will see the bulk of fatalities from COVID-19. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess, at the moment. And I will continue with the idea that COVID-19 is synthetic. When I say synthetic, it is man-made. A person actually sat down, went through the process of first formulating the goal, then going through all the steps necessary to generate a biological weapon. It's a bioweapon. It is not a naturally occurring coronavirus. So COVID-19 was actually cooked up by some lunatic. And the next thing I'll discuss is that COVID-19 is chimeric. A chimera is, how do I explain that? Okay, everybody knows what the Minotaur is. It's half man, half bull. That's a chimera. COVID-19 is also a chimera. That is to say, it is a blend of two different life forms. And in this case, it is 99% basic flu virus. So it's just the basic flu virus pattern with 1% of a HIV virus. That's AIDS virus. It's actually less than 1%, but we'll say 1% of the virus comes from the AIDS virus. And that HIV insert in the coronavirus, COVID-19, is within what is called an RNA package of the virion. A virion is a particle virus. Anyway, it is a bioweapon. And as bad as COVID-19 looks, okay, as bad as COVID-19 is, it's a, how do I say this? The worst thing about COVID-19 is that it is just one of a number of even worse bioweapons. Okay? If someone has intentionally released COVID-19, and it could be any number of actors from Chinese political bureau, who knows, all the way down to a potentially rogue operator in a biosecurity lab. It could have been released by a disgruntled employee of a BSL-4 lab. A BSL-4 lab is the highest level of control over biological organisms. It's a very secure facility, and it could just be one rogue operator that has released the virus intentionally as a malicious act. But anyway, so if someone actually released COVID-19, what is to stop them releasing something really bad? And I mean really bad. It is a brave new world. And get this, in 2018, COVID-19 was actually patented by Bill Gates, among other people and groups. So it's synthetic, it's been patented, and I would guess that there is already a vaccine in place, although that is contentious information, so I won't labour the point. So another really worrying factor is the tendency for the virus to mutate rapidly. Okay, as the virus transmits itself through a population, COVID-19 is an unstable virus, and it has the tendency to rapidly change its form. Now, this mutation or change in form may lead to a benign form of the virus, and COVID-19 may, if we are lucky, just fizzle out. We've got there's a chance. I don't know what the actual percentage is. There's a chance this whole thing will just fizzle. But the opposite is also true, and COVID-19 could become really nasty. So, and also because it's a synthetic virus, that also makes the actual virions itself more prone to mutation because it's been genetically manipulated. I can't verify that information though. That's a guesstimation based on information that I have come across. There's very few things that are hard and fast about this virus. That's one thing that I've learned digging. So the transmissibility of the virus. Transmission of the virus is described by what is known as the R0 factor, or R0 or RO. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but in the text, it's capital R with a 0 behind it. So I'm calling it the R0 factor. R0 is a way of quantifying the spread of the virus within a population. So COVID-19 has an R0 factor of between 2.6 and 12. That means if it has an R0 factor of 2.6, every person that gets the virus will transmit it to 2.6 other people. Okay? And if the R0 is 12, that means one person will transmit it to another 12 people. So if we're looking at the worst case scenario, for every person that is infected, another 12 people will be infected. And this makes the COVID-19 virus potentially, and I'm saying potentially, more contagious than typhoid fever. So the next thing to consider is what is called the surge capacity of the medical system. In Western nations, there is roughly about 5 to 7 hospital beds for every 1,000 people. That's a very rough ballpark figure. But the point is, when COVID-19 hits your geographic location, and it almost certainly will, you cannot expect sophisticated medical intervention for every sufferer. Okay? Surge capacity will not meet the demand of infected people. So that's bad news. It is really bad news, but it still won't actually it's almost certainly not going to kill you. Don't panic. The biggest effect that COVID-19 has is the collapse of the global money market. Somehow, I don't understand how, the markets are still relatively healthy. And I don't know how. It's a zombie system. And COVID-19 has precipitated the beginning of a market crash. As I said earlier, I have it on good authority that oil dropped 20% in one day. This indicates that the collapse has begun. So COVID-19 has triggered a financial collapse. And we have a question from Michelle Paputzis. DT, I heard it has 3 spikes. One spike infects your immune system, attacks it, then another spike attacks the immune system, overloading it. That's precisely true. That's the work of the flu virus coupled with the HIV virus. And I might describe a little bit more of the activity of the virus in a little while. Anyway, where was I? So the last thing I'll say about the COVID-19, or the last of my notes anyway, is that I have absolutely no good information about the lethality of the virus, the morbidity, the effectiveness, the killing power of the virus. The morbidity, or the number of dead, is somewhere between less than 1% and quite possibly as high as 17%. That's a massive discrepancy. And this is because morbidity depends on many factors, such as ethnicity, age, and medical intervention, etc. So most people are projecting by the end of May, COVID-19 will have a foothold in every urban centre on the planet. And all I will say is that if only COVID-19 was our only problem. It's not. It's just one of the set pieces. And Rochelle Paputzis describes part of the action of the virus. And the spikes on the coronavirus, they have at the tip of them what is called a glycoprotein. And it's the glycoprotein that actually bonds to the epithelial lining of the lungs. The receptors on the epithelial lining of the lungs are called the ACE2 receptors, and the virus has been manipulated specifically to target the ACE2 receptor. That's the point at which my understanding of the virus breaks down. But like every other virus, it hijacks the cell. It turns the cell into a virus factory. And one of the lethal actions of the virus is that it kills by overloading the body with virus particles. It can also cause heart failure, kidney failure, respiratory failure, and it also might have some sort of long-term action within a population. So yeah, that's the point at which my understanding of the situation breaks down. I could discuss more, but it would just be guesswork. This situation has very little hard and fast information, but it's a very real situation for about 150,000 Chinese people right about now. I've heard horror stories coming out of China, the worst of which was that there were, I think it was over a dozen industrial crematoriums. And when I say industrial crematoriums, I'm talking about industrial furnaces. More than a dozen of them were sent to the Wuhan province, which is the epicenter of the outbreak. Now, each one of these can process 5 tons of medical waste. Medical waste in this case actually means corpses of coronavirus victims. So more than a dozen industrial furnaces, each of which can process 5 tons of material a day, running 24/7 for 2 weeks. If you sit down and do the maths, that means at least 20,000 people have been cremated in Wuhan. And some of the Some of the horror stories I've heard coming out of Wuhan include people being shot trying to escape the quarantine zones. They're disposing of corpses without even bothering to. In a realistic situation, you are not going to get you guys to cover for me for 2 or 3 minutes, please.
You want me to play a song?
Music would be fabulous.
Okay.
And here's hoping the bot works this time.
That little old bot's got to get in gear, got to get in step with us.
Our music bot is still having some issues that we're trying to resolve.
Elvis is being uncooperative again, is he?
Apparently.
Okay, this is an expected teething problem. I'll do my best to have it sorted out by Wednesday, and I would love to include music as part of the format. Do you want to give it one more try, Carmen?
Sister was trying to play it.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. Maybe Elvis needs a bro. Just a moment, folks. I'm figuring. Sorry, Carmen, go ahead.
Yeah, he might need a firmer hand.
Okay, I can't actually load up the bot. Do you want to give it one more shot, Carmen? Sorry, technical issues that are really quite complicated. But we're up and running, that's the main thing. Do you want to give it one more try, Carmen?
Okay, we'll see what he does.
Silo, you bloody smartass. Thank you so much, Carmen. As a quick note, we're going to make the musical interludes as accessible as possible. So I hope you enjoy the music. Carmen has excellent taste. Which brings me to Article 4, the economic meltdown. And this is rather timely. This is not my strong suit. Global financial markets are unbelievably complicated, and I have very limited understanding of it. So I'll do my best to explain the situation, and it needs to be addressed. I will be as brief as I can. Firstly, the coming financial meltdown is unavoidable, and it has already been triggered by COVID-19 in the Chinese economy. And all the ingredients for the crash are in play. Also, this is really important. Also, the Federal Reserve System, which is a global network, is at the end of its currency life cycle. The Federal Reserve System goes through cycles of collapse and re-establishment, such as 1914, 1933, and 1973. We've seen this pattern many times before, and it's occurring now as well. That's roughly regular interludes between them. Now, this is a contentious point that I might make here. A financial meltdown, is not necessarily a bad thing. The meltdown itself clears the decks for POTUS to put an end to the Federal Reserve System while it is vulnerable. So the Fed cycle is based on levels of debt which are at astronomical levels. So that's them in the kill box, they who control the Fed system have been and are now pumping out as much currency, and I put quotation marks there on currency. They are printing money as quickly as they can, as fast as possible, to wring out every dollar from the globe before it all goes belly up. And the upshot of this is, and this is a gross oversimplification, this means that inflation will go through the roof, and we may see possibly hyperinflation. At this point, it really isn't much of a stretch to say that in the US, a loaf of bread may cost $7 by the end of the year. That's a fairly ballpark figure, I would think. So during the collapse, all of the synthetic money, this fake monopoly money that the Fed produces, all this synthetic money in circulation will just evaporate. I can't explain it any other way, but I will say that the amount of money does not correlate with the actual value of the global assets. There is way, way, way too much money in circulation, and there is not a correlation in real-world assets. The currency system inflates the money to prop up the global economic system. So national currencies will undergo inflation, and global money entities, I'm talking about hedge funds, banks, large corporations, etc., they will be severely depleted. The money will become worthless. And this is not entirely a bad situation, okay? POTUS knows that the federal currency system is very, very vulnerable right now. And when I say now, I mean now. Oil dropping by 20% in a single day indicates that the collapse is occurring. So getting back to POTUS. POTUS is a businessman, and in my opinion, and this is my opinion, you can challenge this if you wish, POTUS will act to end the federal system, the global Federal Reserve banking system, with what is called a gold-backed crypto system, which is based on blockchain systems. So it'll be gold-backed and it'll be blockchain. And the upshot of that is, really simply, the new gold-backed crypto system will require no central organization at all. There will be no role for the Federal reserve system at all. The market is ready to implode. We're watching that now. And POTUS is in a prime position to rebuild all of it. He's going to knock down the building, take each brick apart, and rebuild it in an equitable system for the globe. So there's that to consider. And another positive thing is that the cabal and their institutions will suddenly find that most of their assets simply evaporate. Like I said, this fake money has no real-world correlation, and that money will... The 1% that own most of the money, their bank accounts are going to be substantially reduced. I wish I could tell you more about this, but I really don't understand it to any great degree. Given the circumstances at the moment, I will probably almost certainly return to this topic after I've done more research, and I anticipate doing a presentation entirely on the Federal Reserve System and its death and what will replace it. Now, I also have to get out into the weeds a little bit here. I have to talk about what is known as GESARA. That's GESARA. Now, I'm not sure where this fits in, but it needs to be addressed. This is an important issue. I'll tell you about it. GESARA stands for Global Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. GESARA, Global Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act. So GESARA anticipates the crash, and GESARA is a plan to stabilize the world economy. Now, this is apparently some sort of debt jubilee for the globe. And when I say a debt jubilee, I'm talking about all forms of debt, personal, private, corporate, all forms of debt are going to be forgiven. And that's not all. If you have a home loan, it'll pay for itself after the jubilee. You'll own the house. And some of the sources that I've referenced also make reference to the possibility of cash payments to every human being on the planet. It's global wealth redistribution. Now, GESARA, I'll repeat, Global Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act, that's what the acronym GESARA means. This GESARA is meant to usher in a golden age of global peace and stability. So this GESARA Act, and it is an act of law somewhere in America. I don't understand it entirely. This GESARA Act will be concurrent with a total currency reset. So if GESARA is a real thing, it will manifest itself soon. And I know that GESARA sounds too good to be true, and I think that it probably is too good to be true. But even if 10% of what I just said is accurate, we're in for a big change. I can hope, and I don't really understand the issue. And I need a quick break. I've got to recalibrate my nicotine levels. Do you want to try the bot again, please, Carmen?
Give me just a second.
Real. I won't wander too far out into the reeds on this one. Whenever you're ready, Carmen.
Let me know when I can wear my spacesuit. I'm just waiting for the woo-woo out.
Yeah, a discussion like this would not be complete without little green men from Mars.
Give me a second to have him a little sit-down talk to.
Go ahead, do your thing, Carmen. Yeah. Well, it looks like Germany is extending an invite to the immigrants. Welcome, refugees, the link says. Well, I'm not surprised.
And while we're waiting, can I invite anyone who is lurking? Just pop your head up if you haven't already, and just say hello to me. I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, I know Tink is out there somewhere, but he don't want to show his head. But I saw you over on Facebook promoting the channel. Thanks.
Yes, Chickaboom. For Gisara to be enacted, it needs a total collapse of the global economy. That's one of the prerequisites for Gisara. If you want to question me or get me to expand on a point, or if you've got something to add, please tag me with Dumpster Truffles. Use my full handle, and we'll be able to recognize the question at hand in uh, uh, I will respond in a timely fashion. Hey, Docs. Nice of you to turn up, brother. Have I said hello to you yet? I can't remember. How you guys doing out there?
I think Doc's the owner would accept a wrench.
Oh, we've got Ozanon on the case. We don't want to over-wrench the room. But yes, there is, at some point, there is going to be wrenches handed out. I'm not sure to who. That's a group decision, not something I can just arbitrarily do it on the spot. And I still haven't given Carmen the wrench. Okay, we'll muddle through.
That's okay. I've just been enjoying talking to everybody. But I'm going to try this bot one more time. And he's still not working.
Yeah, thinking about what Chickaboom said, I cannot vouch for the veracity of the information I just gave you about Gasara. It just seems too good to be true. And but even if 10% of what I just talked about is true, um, the future is looking good. Things are actually changing. POTUS has plans in place of that, I'm sure. How are you guys finding the delivery? I'm trying to pack in as much information as I can and offer as much sources. Well, no, I'm offering no source virtually. And g'day, John. How are you, mate? Nice of you to join us. How are you, John? I don't believe we've met. Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir. Yeah, I'll be handing out wrenches in future as the channel grows, and I really do hope it grows. And I'm going to rely on you guys to spread the word. Guerrilla marketing. Pass this website on hand to hand, word of mouth. That's how I want it to grow. Are you still working on the problem, Carmen? Should we call it quits and continue, or?
He's not wanting to cooperate at all.
Okay, I'll try I summon again. Sorry, exclamation point summon. And hopefully it'll work like it did last time. Sorry, guys, the bot is being temperamental. Thank you, Rochelle. I've got positive feedback on the prez. And yeah, it's current. I would think it's pretty much on point for what we're going through at the moment. Thank you, Rochelle. Okay, feed that bot a song, and hopefully we've got music coming up, guys. And Laura, no, we have no Nightbot. You are free to use caps as much as you want. And so far, I'm really, really pleased with the audience. There hasn't been any major runctions, I think. I've missed sections of it. But, and no swearing either.
That's because all these people are wonderful people and they know how to behave in public.
You said it, wonderful people. If Carmen likes you, I like you. Good morning, Honor Code. It's been a while.
If anyone in YouTube chat is on Facebook, tag me, and I'll give you the link, and can get you in some groups if you want to get busy building your queue.
Absolutely. You guys can get on board. Good one, John. If you guys want to get on board and get more involved, there is a dozen different ways you can do it. Our little crew has grown by one so far this evening, which is nice. Puppy Max is having technical problems, and we'll get that straightened out, I'm sure.
No, he is dropping the red pill memes. He made a room for it. He also is the links, the trusted links to follow. He's already doing his thing. I told you he's industrious.
Sweet. I've actually missed half of what's gone past on the Discord. I've been otherwise occupied.
No, see, I guess because we just old school. We just get in there and get busy. That's the way we like it. Puppy Max, you're doing a great job.
G'day, Tess. So glad you could join us. I don't believe I've said hello to you yet. And Breezy, darn it, I wanted to catch more of the show. I overslept. Good morning, all. It is a very good morning. Nice to have you with us, Breezy. And the show will be archived under the Dumpster Truffles channel. And you'll be able to refer back to it if you wish. And if you could do me a personal favor, when you tell someone else about this channel, when you recommend it to other people, remember that tonight's presentation is a two-parter. This is just half of the material I have, and the second half will be on Wednesday. And hopefully we've got a special guest lined up on Friday, but I can't confirm that yet. But we will continue to make relevant, interesting, engaging content. We'll do our best to do so. And not operating under the Patriot News umbrella gives us more freedom, and that's a very motivating thing. And yeah.
I'm going to try this one more time. If it don't work, I guess Elvis did leave the building.
For those of you who don't know, we've named our bot Elvis.
And I guess he's left the building.
Okay, we expected teething problems. That's to be expected. I'll have that clarified as best I can by Wednesday. I really miss Carmen's music. She has excellent taste. And
Well, plus we built up such a library, and we found some really cool music, mostly kind of like techno, jazz, funk, a little hip hop, and then the good old country. And then we have some really great 432 and 528 frequencies. It's kind of like the melodies just line up. I'm getting to the point to where I can't listen to secular music anymore. I don't want words to interfere with my thoughts. And music is so creative, and it's a charger. Or it charges my spirit. I know what songs that gets me up to do my little senior citizen shuffle and my dancer's eyes. So I know how to calm myself down with some cool collective sounds. So we're making all kinds of cool discoveries. If anybody has any song requests, please tag Carmen, myself, or Oz or Dumpster. We'd be glad to add it to our library.
You bet.
But
If it sounds
remember,
copyright, I'd be more than happy to add it to the library. But Carmen would be the person to talk to. Anyway, no go with Elvis.
Nope.
Okay. Can you guys cover for me for about 90 seconds, and then I'll roll with Alien Contact.
okie dokie. Oh, Carmen, I kind of redid the Hokey Pokey Clinic. You know it's open 24/7, and walk-ins are welcome. Anybody need to turn themselves about?
Well, the first one I'm sending over is this crazy bot.
Oh, I'm ready for him. I got a switch. Would you like for me to sing to you?
If we're going to have music, you're going to have to sing, sister.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I have been doing since I met Q. The secular songs that I liked, for every word they would say you, I would put Q. Okay, for example, Man in the Mirror. Here we go. We're looking at you in the mirror. We're asking, no, let me start over. We're looking at you in the mirror. He's asking us to make a change. And no message could have been any clearer. If we want to make the world a better place, we got to look at ourselves and make that change. La da da. See, that's what I do. It kind of breaks their spell. Also, it's a great clickbait to red pill people. Just saying.
And we've just been joined by Samo. Morning. Bro or broette, as the case may be.
Oh, that name sounds familiar.
Okay, if Elvis isn't working, we should probably continue. Are you ready to call it quits yet, Carmen?
I'm trying one more thing.
Okie dokes. Yeah,
And that didn't work either.
Okie dokes. It looks like Section 6, Alien Contact. I'm going to enjoy this. Love this topic. Okay, Alien Contact. Now, I have to begin by saying the amount of horseflop surrounding this topic cannot be overstated. But there are odds and ends of information that, when you put them in context, indicate that our species is and has been in contact with alien beings. I'll bet you a donut that there are aliens on this planet now. And most relatively astute people are willing to accept the idea that we are not alone. It's not a foreign idea. It's not a new idea at all. I would go so far as to say that most people actually believe in alien contact in some form or another. So this puts us all in a really interesting situation. It's a really, really interesting situation for all of us to be in. And when disclosure comes, and for those not familiar with the term, Disclosure is the admission by the powers that be that we are in contact with aliens. This is called disclosure, telling us the truth, basically. So disclosure will be a moot point. By that I mean, by the time they actually tell us the truth about aliens, most people will already believe and have integrated their belief and knowledge of aliens into their worldview. So the truth will only be released after everyone already knows about it. Now, there are two types of disclosure: soft disclosure and hard disclosure. Soft disclosure, I'll deal with first. Soft disclosure is the process of incrementally drip feeding a population with tiny doses of reality. And that's done through pop culture and science fiction and stuff. We're introduced to these kinds of ideas by pop culture. And these ideas that are introduced are put there specifically by the powers that be as a drip feeding process of disclosure. So I'm talking mostly here about science fiction, but anyway, so this would be like science fiction movies such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's a what's his name? Spielberg movie. And apparently it's pretty close to the truth is what I hear. So soft disclosure is the drip feeding of a population and the slow acclimatization to the fact that the little green men from Mars are here. I have no idea what an alien looks like. I don't profess that kind of knowledge, but they're here. And the gradual release of information, such as things like the UFO files of the United Kingdom, which are due to be declassified very soon. So that's gradual release of information in tiny drip, drip, drip. So declassification of the UFO files of the UK is a soft disclosure. Now, hard disclosure, on the other hand, is virtually unheard of. I've come across two instances of what I would call hard disclosure. So hard disclosure consists of things like deathbed confessions of insiders. If you've researched the field at all, you'll be familiar with this kind of source of information. People who are on their last legs spill their guts about the reality of our world and what kind of entities we're actually dealing with. So we've got deathbed confessions from insiders, and we also have the occasional broaching of the subject by trusted politicians. This occurred in, I think it was the early 2000s, and if from memory, it was the ex-Prime Minister of Canada. Don't quote me on that, but ex-politicians like that have actually come out and explicitly stated that we are in contact with alien beings. So, but that to stretch that idea, the ultimate hard disclosure would be something like POTUS addressing the issue directly to the world's media. Now, there's a whole lot of good reasons why POTUS doesn't just do this. I mean, alien contact would shatter existing belief systems like religion. I'm not going into religion, I'm just not. All I'll say is that religion and science do not coexist peacefully in my mind. I've yet to reconcile the fact that science is science and religion is religion. At the moment, I have them partitioned. But I will be given guidance by the Lord when and if He's ready. And until then, I'll just chug along with a little bit of necessary cognitive dissonance. Anyway, the only precedent for anything like alien contact that I can give as an analogy is the contact between colonial powers and indigenous people. So we've got Captain Cook, who lands on Sydney Cove in Australia. He plants a Union Jack in the ground and says, "We own the whole country," and the indigenous peoples don't fare well. And Michelle Paputzis has a comment. Dumpster Truffles, are you familiar with John D'Souza, ex-FBI? Comey worked in the area of phenomena. I'm not exactly aware of that specific instance, but yes, I am familiar with that kind of information. I mean, it's a vast field and it's full of crap, but I may actually scribble that down if you can just give me a moment. And yes, Tess, God is crystal clear. And for me at the moment, I've put a restraining order on science, and it has to stay 500 yards away from religion at all times. That's how I deal with the necessary cognitive dissonance. Anyway, where was I?
You were just setting your boundaries with science, that's all.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. Anyway, so we've got contact between colonial powers and indigenous peoples. And in every instance, every time a culture encounters another vastly more sophisticated culture, the indigenous culture is virtually annihilated. This happened across the globe during the colonial era. There are many, many examples of it. Australia is just one example. But the same thing happened to the native folk of America, the native folk of South America, and also in Africa as well. So contact between a sophisticated culture and a less sophisticated culture, the less sophisticated culture suffers massive damage, cultural damage, physical damage, life damage, and so forth. So this happened many times across the globe during the colonial era, and I don't think the majority of the planet is ready for a hard disclosure. We know that they are here and that they have been for a very long time, and Q has all but said so. I believe the question was posed by an anon, and it was, are we in contact with aliens? I don't remember the exact phrasing, but Q's response was, consider the vastness of the universe. Q has all but said we are in contact with aliens. I won't waffle on for too long about alien technology, but alien technology is in use on this planet now. And everything from time dilation devices, such as Looking Glass, if you're familiar. And I think I heard somewhere that Velcro is actually an adaptation of alien technology. Anyway, so there you go. That's the end of the alien contact. On Wednesday, when I finish off this presentation, I will come back to the issue of aliens. Anyway, that's a nice punctuation break. I need to take a sip of coffee, and then we're going to roll with slot 7, which is artificial intelligence. And once I finish this section, the night's presentation will be over. But that doesn't mean the Canes Dre. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Cane Dre? Oh, mate, I wouldn't get you. I'm glad you're here. Glad you made it. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard the new ship. I need to take just a moment. Can you guys fill in 90 seconds, 2 minutes maybe?
Oh, probably so. Hey, Carmen, do you have a good news story? Just hand. Oh, by the way, speaking of aliens, I'm going to be mad if they've been making them down at a factory over in China. I would hate to think that would be a faux concept that they are man-made. But, only because a lot of my friends believe in aliens. I've noticed about 1/3 want to be caught up by the mothership. The other third is trying to hitch a ride with Space Force. And I guess the other third will just miss the ship. I don't know. All I know is I want to be able to teleport, and I want to be able to have things float to me that, I want. I want it already made, whatever, if it's a cup of coffee or a pot brownie, I don't care. I just want, hey, I think I'll have one. And it just comes to me. Now, that's my only demands when it comes to energy and the aliens. I want to be able to learn that technique. You think it's possible, Carmen? Because Tesla's going to blow a lot of people's minds.
It will, and it is possible.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so much. There's just so much that we still don't really
Well, of course, Project Bluebeam. I've always teased my kids about Project Bluebeam. I said, now just wait. Just wait till George Lucas and Steven Spielberg to collaborate, and we have holographic images in the sky all over the world, and people will think there is an alien attack. And they just, of course, they were young at the time. They go, well, can't wait for the movie because they like spooky, scary stuff like that. But it's kind of fun how see, you gotta understand. My Jag Dad used to tell us Saturday evening stories that were kind of scary, and he would tell us about Project Mockingbird, yeah, Project Bluebeam, Project Paperclip, Project Hardtack, Project Popeye, Project Indigo Skies. Shoot, we had cloud seeding in 1967. I remember that. I remember them talking about it on the Dick Van Dyke Show. So it was not unfathomable for me to believe. I was like, oh, I'm so ready for the proof. Please, I want to show my family who thinks I'm.
Okay, let me say hello to CC Shadow. Good to have you aboard, mate, or mateess, as the case may be. I'm not sure of your gender. And Kaijo says we need to get BE over here. Um, tell him, tell him, get him over here.
Yeah, I think over at another station, they're trying to discourage people talking about our channel, or that's what we got some information.
We'll just bulldoze through them, I think. We're only on
Yeah,
3 nights a week. It's not much of an ask.
well, I can only get banned from another server when I drop our show promotions, but I'm willing to do it.
And for the record, Patriot News is still a great organisation. It's a great place to park your avatar. They come up with some amazing catches all the time. So it's not like the station that I will not mention.
Oh no, there's no hard feelings. Great group over there. But I don't understand it because, they want to like replay your shows for the live, but then they don't want to encourage others to check your channel out. They said oh, I can't remember the word. They have some kind of fraternity going. I don't know. I don't guess we're in it, but they want to utilize your show to play, I guess, on their dead air space at night or during the day. They have some, I don't know.
Yeah, in response to that, all I'll say is don't burn your bridges, folks. Respect everybody. Keep as many friends as you can. And this thing, I actually anticipate the whole thing going sideways at some point, and we may end up sharing a foxhole. And there's been some back channel communication, and that's all I'll say.
Yeah, basically, they're really great group of people. Just some have bigger egos, and I hope that our channel never becomes that.
Like I said, just to reiterate, 95% of the people there are solid, and it's not anything like the station whose name I will not mention.
Anywho,
Hey, have I said hello to Principal Driven and Jana? I don't believe I have. Hey guys.
Never becomes that.
like I said, just to reiterate, 95% of the people there are solid, and it's not anything like whose name I will not mention. You've got an open mic, Puppy Max. You're going to have to do something about that. Stop it, driven. Like I said, just to reiterate, 95% of the people there are solid, and it's. I'm really sorry, but that's the first time I've had to ever mute someone on a broadcast Discord. I'm sorry, Puppy Max, but you had an open mic. I had no other option. By the time you hear this, I'll probably have unmuted you. And if you can get your mic working, you're free to join us at any point. And Karen Cook, how you doing? She's glad she found us here, and congrats on the channel. We've got a whole bunch of teething problems, but we're here for the long haul. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we'll be here. Is there any other anything that needs to be addressed before I finish the final topic for this evening, which is artificial intelligence? And once I finish that, that'll be the halfway point in the presentation. You'll get the rest of the presentation on Wednesday, and I'll leave you guys hanging. It'll be a cliffhanger. Get you guys hooked, and you'll have to come back on Wednesday. Yeah, sorry, Puppy Max, mate. I had no other choice, bros. Yeah, it's no big deal, Puppy Max. This is not CNN. We don't have slick production values, but you'll get decent analysis here.
We're just all friends getting together for our morning coffee.
Hanging out at the chilled out cafe.
You said it. This is good fun. Good people. Okay, shall I move right along to artificial intelligence?
Yep.
Okie dokes, artificial intelligence, AI. So, to begin with, think about this. For virtually all of human history, if human history is 350,000 years long, it's only been in the last 10 years that we've had artificial intelligence, or any kind of artificial intelligence. So for a really long time in human history, the human brain was the only entity to actually conceive of itself. I don't know a better word to use than entity, but think about this. Your brain actually perceives itself. It conceives of itself as a unit. That's the foundation of awareness, consciousness. So we, us, the owners of the brain in question, were a naturally occurring self-aware intelligence. That's really important. The only thing we've got to measure artificial intelligence against is our own brain. So getting back to the idea of the development of artificial intelligence, our society reached a level of technical sophistication where we are now able to generate an entity separate from the human brain, an entity that is capable of conceiving of itself and is self-aware. I'm not saying it's human-like. I'm not saying its brain is anything like our own, but it does have the same capacity to conceive of itself and become self-aware. Of course, I'm talking about an artificial form of intelligence, artificial intelligence. And as I said earlier, I think I said this earlier in the introduction, I think I said earlier that AI is probably more important in human history than the discovery of fire. If you look at the Greek legends, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to mankind. So artificial intelligence is Promethean in nature. We've stolen from the gods, basically. So this is not an analogy of the discovery of fire is not drawing a long bow. This is deadly serious. So artificial intelligence is just the logical progression of the amount of processing power of computers. Quantum computing has so much processing power that it's virtually superfluous processing power and more than capable of sustaining a mind, an artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, as I said, is the logical progression of the processing power of things called quantum computing systems. When I say quantum computing systems, you either know what that is or you don't. Basically, a quantum computer is just a really, really good computer. An example of this is called D-Wave technology. So they've had D-Wave technologies for, I think, 4.5 years now. And there are many D-Waves. And each D-Wave is capable of supporting itself as a self-aware mind, an artificial intelligence. So with quantum computing, the processing power of computers is at the point where it's virtually redundant. And the only thing you can do with more computing power than any person can use is you transform it into a synthetic brain. That's the only application that is possible. That's the only useful application of the amount of processing power that D-Wave systems have. Now, there are several D-Wave systems in operation around the globe. There are many. I don't know how many. I'm guessing like maybe a dozen or so. Now, getting to the nuts and bolts of it. By the end of 2020, this year, D-Wave, the D-Wave systems across the world will have a processing power of 5,000 qubits. If I was to explain that to you, I'll get to that in just a minute. So 5,000 qubits, I'm not exactly sure what that exactly entails, but this is an unbelievable amount of processing power. 5,000 qubits is at least equal to the combined processing power, mental processing power, at least, of 5,000 people. And that's a very low estimate. So human beings have made an artifact that has an artifact that is smarter than 5,000 people combined. And when I say smarter, I'm using a human word to describe an artificial artifact. So to tell you a little bit about D-Wave, D-Wave can be taught to speak human language and understand it and respond. It can create art. I don't know if you would call what a computer makes art, but D-Wave is capable of abstract thought, conceiving of an idea, and enacting it in an artistic manner. And the most important factor of a D-Wave is that it can learn to learn. I'll repeat that. The most important thing that an artificial intelligence unit like D-Wave can do is learn to learn. And it learns at the speed of computing power. So the future of artificial intelligence, and this is my own opinion here, the future of artificial intelligence will manifest in one of two scenarios in the future. I'm happy to debate this if you wish. But scenario one assumes that there are no limits on how intelligent an entity can become. So if there are no limits on intelligence, this will lead to a single artificial intelligence of godlike intelligence. So multiple D-Waves operating in parallel. Remember, D-Waves are part of the internet. They're all connected with each other. If there is no limits on intelligence, artificial intelligence will manifest itself as a godlike intelligence. Sorry for the reference to God there, but that's the only word that fits. And this godlike intelligence will manifest itself across the entire planet. This scenario of one godlike artificial intelligence unit controlling the planet is known as the singularity. Basically a synchronization of all computing power on the planet into a single intelligent systems. Then we have scenario 2, and this I think is the more likely scenario. Scenario 2 assumes that there is a limit to the fundamental functional intelligence of any system. That means that, how do I explain this? If there's a limit on artificial intelligence, we can call that the boiling point at which consciousnesses within the D wave become multiple consciousnesses. So the D wave might consist of several dozen individual artificial intelligences. And the implications of scenario 2, where there is a limit to functional intelligence of an artificial intelligence unit, this means that there won't be one or two or a handful of artificial intelligences, but millions of them, possibly billions. We're talking about things like toasters and fridges being smarter than you are. So that's scenario 2. But one thing is sure, we will have personal contact with artificial intelligence during the course of our lives. I mean, if you've got a D-Wave that's capable of producing art, understanding human culture and language, and being able to engage with people, how do we even know that we're dealing with an artificial intelligence? It's a brave new world. And as I said, artificial intelligence will touch all of us during the course of our lives, if it hasn't already. And the final point I will make is, well, the second last point, actually. I just remembered something else. And when I say godlike intelligence, I'm not overstating that fact at all. There is already a sect of religious cult, or whatever you want to call it. There are people who are already worshipping artificial intelligence as a religious godlike entity. And so that shows you the power of artificial intelligence. So I'll leave the discussion, and this is the final point I'll make about this presentation, is that my personal opinion is that we take an axe, literally, to every quantum computer on the planet and think about what we are doing with artificial intelligence for at least a decade. Just think about it. Take a decade to measure what we want artificial intelligence to be. I mean, that's never going to happen. That's an ideal world. But anyway, brave new world. And Rochelle has a comment. Dumpster truffles. So it will have unlimited bits of information, but will it have capability of emotion or morality? That is a really good point. Basically, whoever programs the computer will have total control over its emotional range and emotional responses. And morality is something that needs to be programmed into the computer as well. I'm not saying artificial intelligence is some evil machine-like monster. If we design it properly, artificial intelligence could be a great boon to society. And when I say great boon to society, I refer back to the fact that it's Promethean in nature. It's like stealing fire from the gods. And yeah, so and the applications for quantum computing, we don't even know what the applications that quantum computing will be used for. And we have a rather absurd situation whereby quantum computers will actually decide their own purpose and method of enacting that purpose. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the presentation. That's the first half of it. You will get the rest of it on Wednesday. And Kane Dre says, what's the schedule of the channel? And Carmen Morrison has answered him. There you go. Team in action. Now, before I sign off, well, not sign off, but to wrap up, the next articles that I will talk about is automated systems, which is robots, networked computing, which is basically the future of the internet. Then I will talk about reclamation of history. And let me go through my notes for just a moment. The next subject after that will be megadeath weaponry. That's a rather grim one indeed. And after megadeath weaponry, we have a subject that I know Benji is going to love, and it's ascension. And after I talk about ascension, I have concluding remarks. Now, you're going to find the conclusion probably to be the most interesting part of this presentation, and you won't get it till the Wednesday show. And the conclusion is actually based on a conversation I had with my brother quite some time ago. And we split a case of beer and a bottle of malt liquor. And I remember actually taking notes while we were talking about it. And it's a rather interesting conclusion. And that will wrap up the situation report for the human species. And remember, guys, this show will be archived under my channel. Direct other people to it, and refer to it again if you wish to cover any of this ground again. And the final thing I will say is that do your own research. There is no substitute for doing your own research. Don't take my word for it. If something piques your interest, scribble it down and use the interwebs right in front of you to discover it. And Rochelle says, so it's just as vulnerable as government, banking, religion, etc. Artificial intelligence. Yes, that's a fair point. Thank you. And Puppy Max. Technical troubles for Puppy Max. Headphones flying. Anyway, guys, I'm at the end of my strength. I'm going to back out now. Yeah. I'll leave it for you guys to wrap up. We'll do that software test that I wanted to do later. Okay, Carmen? And, yeah, do you want to sign off for us, Private Benjamin and Carmen? I'm losing my voice. I've spoken too much.
Oh, that's okay. I got to get going. Anyway, I've got 2 Facebook groups that I can make comments in, even though I can't post. And then I've got my little tag team over there. And then my Twitter and my DMs are coming fast and furious right now. But any topic that you would like addressed, please drop it in chat. Let us know what you're interested in. We'll be glad to present. Anyway, I've got to be in flight because I'm jump roping the internet with my Wi-Fi. It's raining here, and my cat wants to go outside and sit in it. If that isn't weird, I don't know what is.
Okay.
I don't think we're supposed to get any rain until tonight.
Peace out, Patriot Scouts.
Oh, hang on. Before we go, we might leave let's leave the chat open. Do you guys want to continue chatting? I mean, I don't want to break up a conversation if you guys are having it. I can leave the stream open for another 10 or 20 minutes. What say you all? It'll take a little while to get a response. Do you guys mind if we wrap up now, or do you want to keep chatting for a little while? Either way, I'm at the end of my battery life. Okay, Benji's busy. And Carmen, that leaves you and I and Oz. I guess you could do your grab bag if you really wanted to, or but that's entirely up to you. We can call it over at the moment.
Yeah, we've been going for like 3 hours.
Oh, and one thing I will say is the Discord server that I'm broadcasting from is not an open channel. A lot of people are going to want access to here. I'm going to have to restrict that to people who are personally vetted, but there are plenty of ways to get involved. You can contact me directly, and you have to earn your place among the team. I'd be more comfortable if the channel grew slowly and organically. And it's not just a hangout for everyone to hang out in. It's actually a broadcast server. It's a dedicated server. But hit me up. Nanza, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but I cannot admit you into the Discord at the moment. It's, as I said, it's a dedicated server. I've set it up for broadcast only. And tell your friends, share it around, word of mouth, hand to hand. If they're going to tune in on Wednesday, maybe you could point them to the archived show of this evening, and that'll get them up to speed. And you may actually wish to review this post yourself before I give the second half of the presentation on Wednesday night. And I need to back out. I'm at the end of my battery life, people. I've left it all on the field. Oh, hang on. I've got to say hello to Mocky. Yeah, good point, Mocky. I'm not going to repeat it open, but yeah. Okay, we're at a crossroads, guys. What say the rest of the team? How do you want to proceed from this point on?
I need to do a couple of things myself.
Okay.
But I'll be back for a meeting in a few minutes.
Sure thing. Do you guys mind if we close the channel down, or do you want me to? I'll leave it open until the top of the hour, so you've got 7 minutes to say your goodbyes to each other, and yeah, spread the word, build the channel. We will not ask for a cent, and yeah, I love you guys. Awesome comments.
Thanks for being here, everybody. It's wonderful to have your support, and we love you very much. See you Wednesday morning.
Yeah, Teslala. I don't want a penny for doing this. What you can do for me though is spread the word and build the channel. Nighty night, Silo. Good to catch up with you, mate. And GTS Gaming says, can't believe that was 3 hours. You better believe it, buddy. And another healthy meal of information on Wednesday. And yet to be confirmed, special guest on Friday evening.
Your Friday evening, our Friday morning. It's tough being on opposite sides of the world.
But worth the effort.
Yep, we'll get there.
Yeah, you guys have got 5 minutes to wrap it all up. Oh, Carmen, are you still there by any chance?
Yes, I am. I was looking to see if maybe I could try this bot one more time. I'm no good at giving up.
We forgot to plug Uncle Grandpa's radio show or whatever it's called.
I think it was called Gramps' House or something like that.
If you could dig up the link to that, I'll wrench you up now. I'll get you a wrench now, and we'll plug their show. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. And let me gather my thoughts. Um, uh, let me gather my thoughts. I've got a little bit of a promotion to do for the rest of you guys out there. A good friend came across, a good friend pointed me in the direction of a great little YouTube site called Gramps' House Saturday Night Live or something along those lines. And it's only a little tiny channel, but the vibe from that place was awesome. It was full of heavy drinking, excessive swearing, and really good music. So if I can just get the details to that, please, Carmen. I can't actually do it myself. And you'll have to make a post in YouTube for me to wrench you up. So we got a couple of loose ends, and then after that, we can all take a break.
I just dropped his link in the general room over here in the bunker.
Beautiful. It's called Gramps' House. Saturday Night Live Music at Gramps with Billy and crew. 3rd of the 7th, 2020, 9 p.m., etc. I've been listening to these guys on and off for the last 3 days, and Ghost of the Banded Ones says Gramps' House also has Fox News, also live. You're damn right he does. It's a great little channel. Tune in, check it out. It might not be for you. It might be for you, however. I enjoy it. So I'll give those guys a plug. If you can make a post in YouTube, I'll wrench you up, Carmen. Just hit enter, whatever. And then you'll be able to drop the link. Oh, Benji's just dropped it. Well done. We're finally tuned machine. Great team.
Yes, that is teamwork.
Okay, the next post you should make, you will have a troll hammer.
Okay. Well, this bot's either going to work or it ain't, but we're going to try it.
Okie dokes.
And it ain't.
Okay, I'm at the end of my strength. I need to make myself a coffee and so forth. Let's say team meeting at 1:30, and that's only admin, so that's only Ozanon, Carmen, myself, and Benji. We've got some teamwork stuff to discuss. Does that work for you, Benji and Carmen and Oz?
Works for me.
And Ghost of the Banded One says, you ever think about live call-in? Mate, that'd be a nice idea, but I've barely managed to tame the technology. And to tell you the truth, I'm held together with bubblegum and string at the moment. But within a fortnight's time, I will have a smoother platform. I'm sorry about the production values, guys. This is me getting back in the game as quick as possible. So I made a few shortcuts, and I've got some tweaking and learning to do. I hadn't really considered a live call-in, but maybe, who knows? I don't know. And remember, guys, this is a feedback platform. Get used to the fact that I will respond, or Carmen, or Oz, or Benji, whoever you decide to tag, we will respond to you. It's a feedback loop.
The only reason we're here is for everybody else out there. We kind of all needed a new home.
Yeah, JTO Gaming says, I've actually got the assistance of a fairly reliable techspert. I'll get it sorted out and streamlined and a little bit slicker. But at the moment, it's flying by the seat of our pants, which is nothing new for me, Benji, Carmen, and Oz.
I really didn't know there was any other way to fly.
Yeah, fly by our seat of the pants. Good night.
Okay, Carmen, it's all up to you to wrap up the show. And I am out. Dumpster out. Peace and love. And hey, we got Water Picker? Who is Water Picker? Mr. Picker. He is already in the actual crew. He doesn't have admin status, but he's part of the Discord. Jenna Elaine says, I miss my buddy Picker. Hopefully, Water Picker will, I don't know. We'll see how it evolves, but Picker's welcome at any time. Well, not really any time. He has a habit of bumping into people and treading on people and breaking up the conversation, but his attitude and his intelligence cannot be questioned. I hope we get to hear from Picker at some point. Thanks, guys. That's it. Dumpster out.
Well, I pray every one of you have a wonderful day. And don't forget what's important. Let the people in your life know that you love them. See you Wednesday.